What's up, sagacious sadists? Despite its name, Super Slam has failed to make so much of a dent in the Flesh and Blood meta. When our 4 newest heroes do appear in tournaments, their win rates are dismal, despite them breaking the rules of the game in new and interesting ways. Prior to battle-hardened Sonoma, Lyath Goldbane, Fab's first 5 intellect hero, had only played 7 matches across 4 tournaments with no confirmed wins. Even broadening that to 18,273 games played on Talishar, Lyath is only winning 34.8% of the time. The playlines opened by a 5th card every turn, combined with a debilitating hero power, are proving quite challenging for players to navigate. Enter MetalFab Token's own France Tam. France piloted his personal Lyath brew to a 5-2 record at battle-hardened Sonoma, just shy of a top 8 finish, and a 4-3 record in the ProQuest Plus for an overall win rate of 55.6%. What's France doing differently than any other Lyath? He's going to tell you. This video starts with a deck tech from France himself, followed by a Sonoma tournament report, and ends with a commentated game played against a professional level Cindra. Open the Fablazing link in the video description, complete with a free matchup guide to follow along. We hope that this will provide Lyath brewers with a foundation upon which to iterate for future success. Before France takes it away, please consider subscribing to my channel. It's the best free way to support me and to make sure that you see every upload from daily Fab gameplay. I don't play enough Fab, so when I don't have anecdotal evidence for whether a matchup is good or what cards I should play to counter the meta, I use Fablazing.com. If you want to see matchup spreads across multiple tournaments, which cards increase your win rate the most, and even which heroes convert the best, use the link down below. Want to tighten and optimize your gameplay in real life? Use my affiliate link to buy your very own Codex journal, and be sure to use code LUPINE10, that's LUPINE10, at checkout to receive 10% off your order. Finally, Daily Fab gameplay is brought to you in part by Hemel from The Bazaar. It's never been more affordable to play in the Flesh and Blood. Players have been buying the cards they need from Hemel for years. I started buying from him in 2023, and I have never found a better deal. The Bazaar's prices are the lowest for singles, full sets, and class sets, including new releases. Super Slam singles and more are available now and ship both domestically and internationally. Keep watching this intro for prices and contact information, then message Hemel on Blue Sky, Discord, email, or Twitter to see what he can do for you. Now, it's time for some tactical bullying.
Hi y'all, recording from Sonoma. My name's France, I'm on Team Metal Fab, and this weekend I chose to play Lyath. It's a pretty difficult hero. 5 intellect means there's a lot of different lines to play. So let me just show you what I got. So pretty standard equipment in terms of the weapon and offhand. Titan's Fist, attacks for 2, but if you pitch a 3 cost, it gets up to 3. And then offhand is the Rampart or the Arcane Lantern. And then standard AB equipment for Nolan Gloves and Nolan Boots. And then we got Crater Hoof and Attention Grabbers for my other pieces of armor. Attention Grabbers lets me essentially play an aura, block for 3, and then be able to use that aura immediately the turn afterwards. And Crater Hoof is additional added evasion, giving Dominate attack to a Guardian attack from my arsenal. So now we'll go over my reds. Mocking Blow is here just as a 1-card 6, or yeah, 1-card 6 essentially. This is one of the ways that I get ahead in the aggro matchup, because it attacks for 5 and I get a Might for the next turn. Then I have this Intimidate package here for the slower matchups. Currently I'm only playing 1 Sadistic Scowl. I think you can play 2 if you really want to, but it does block for 2, which means it blocks for 1 in Lyath. But being able to intimidate your opponent's entire hands and attack for, 20 plus damage is pretty backbreaking for them. It's very easy, or a very good way to close out the game. Then we have the auras. I do play 3 active glory, which is a 4-cost aura, 3 edge of their siege, which is a 3-cost aura that gives +5, 3 leave them hanging, which is the best card in Lyath. This card never leaves the main board, but I do play around with these 6 in the side in different matchups. To go with those auras, because they are delayed, we do play 3 Cruel Ambition, because it allows us to get another +3 the turn after I play the aura, or when it has 1 less suspense counter. So I can just add on top of that. As for a defensive package, I currently am playing 3 Oasis Respites, 3 Fiddler's Green in the main, and then sideboarding, depending on your matchup. I currently am running 2 Battered Not Broken, a Steadfast, and 2 Blessing of Serenity. These 5 can be swapped out for various things like Calming Breeze, or more Blessings, or more Steadfast, just other ways to prevent. And I also had some of these in place of like Minnowism if you really want to go more aggressive or go taller with some of your attacks. So these are pretty flexible. These are not. These are your 1-card 4s in Lyath, and you really need those point values to, stay alive. As for the yellows, I'm currently playing the 3 best tower cards. Cut a long story short, if they get to 13 damage, they make my opponent discard their entire hand. This works incredibly well with Craterhoof. I love parking this in Arsenal and giving it Dominates, and attacking for a 13 and forcing my opponent to give me armor or just take a turn off. As for the other yellows, we play these weird 0-cost crush cards. This one is discard from hand, and this one is discard their arsenal. These are what help me fight back against aggro. Just coming in for 7 means that they have to give me more than just their card usually. So it's taking armor and I'm chipping in damage, just able to go back and forth with an aggro deck. My last yellow slot, which I don't see a lot of Lyath players play currently, is Battered, Beaten, and Broken. This card is an absolute all-star in every single matchup. I don't like to sideboard this out, but essentially it intimidates a card from their hand. And if I control 3 or more auras, it gets +3, and if it hits, it destroys that intimidated card. This card is enabled by a lot of various cards in in a lot of Lyath lists already, specifically like the +3 Might Creation, like the Cruel Ambition, and then you'll see a couple more supportive cards in the blues as well. But this card is an all-star. This is the best card I played all weekend, next to Leave Them Hanging. As for the blues, I have a couple 0-cost blues that don't really help Titan's Fist, but help a lot in other matchups. So Overcrowded has been an all-star as well. I was able to block out a CNC for 6 with this, on top of being able to stuff a Pulping because this came from Arsenal. So just a fantastic card overall for defensive reasons. To support Battered, Beaten, and Not Broken, I have Booze. Booze itself counts as an aura, and then it boos you, so it creates a might. So that's already 2 auras that counts towards the Battered, Beaten, and Broken. So just 1 more from either Lyath, or if you have like a suspense aura already, enables that powerful yellow. I do have 2 steps ahead and ways to find it, like the Imposing Visage. So this can give 2 steps ahead, go again, or just find it for pitching a single blue. And this card enables you to play like your crush cards and essentially give them pseudo dominates, because it also, the confidence counts as stopping people from blocking with just like armor as well. To further enable our might plan, or with like Battered, Beaten, Broken, we also play 3 Escalate Violences. They're mostly for being able to play on like in between setup turns or on turn 0, but they block for 3 and they pitch for 3. And if you haven't noticed, a lot of my deck blocks and pitches, or blocks for 3. And then we have ways to give our Guardian attacks Dominates and Evasion. when we do pop our auras. So we do play all 3 Terra Sunders and all 3 Buckles. On top of that, we do play 3 Thumps if we can't get those off. Tunic pairs very nicely with this, and this gets Dominate already, even with a single Might. And then when we get to the late game, sometimes it is hard to close when we need 3 cards, 2 Terra Sunder or a Pump for Thump. So to do that, we essentially use power plays to attack for 6 with a single card, and we have 2 last-ditch efforts once we get to the fatigue game plan. But that's about it. This is the Lyath deck tech. We will have a February link available for you as well if you want to take a look at all the specifics. Today, not so good, still 4-3 positive, but yesterday I was firing on all cylinders and I did go 5-2, making top 16 at Battlehard Sonoma. I hope you enjoy this deck tech, and I hope to see more innovation in Lyath enjoyers. Thanks.
All right, just gonna quickly go over my weekend. For Battlehard, I had a 5-2 record. Essentially 1 win off from getting top 8. Played a KO round 1, got the win. Not gonna talk about my wins very much, but I will talk about my losses, what I could have done better. Acilio, this is against Steven Leva, very good Acilio player. He was in the feature match for Pro Tour London. I used a Leave Them Hanging to great effect here, essentially stuffing, I think, 6+ points of Arcane on their Boots activation turn. I was pretty proud of that, but even then, they were still able to get an Arcane for 10 a turn later after that, using their arms. And it wasn't that hard for him to close out the game after that point. I did get him down to, I believe, 1. He did survive a dominated attack using a Sigil of Solace. And that's the reason why he was at 1 or 2 points of life left. So very close, but not quite. Got to figure out how to deal with that. Gravy, we did fatigue them. I was able to kill all of their allies. We did go to time, and I did have 13 life left, so I had plenty of life to work with if they still had attacks left in their deck. Puffin, I'm not sure how this goes. I did board towards the same way I do for Cindra and KO. By turn 3, I saw that they were boosting cards away, so I kind of hard switched to fatigue, and on their last 4 cards of their deck, I set up a Terra Sunder Hammer to try and take away their Cog in the Machine loop for the win. KO, another win here. I was able to dodge blood rushes for the first 5 turns. They didn't see their blood rush until like turn 6 or 7, and it was paired with the second blood rush, so they had to pitch 1 to play 1. Marionette, this match I feel is very bad with this current list. There needs to be something needs to be changed with this list. I don't know if that needs to be like Calming Breeze. I haven't tried it that much, and I think it works very well with Cindra, but not sure how effective it is in comparison to Marionette. Probably decently enough, but yeah, this one's still something I'm trying to figure out. I still did get them to, I think it was also 1 or 2. But the Flick Knives endgame is just so much harder to deal with than like me trying to just hammer them out in the endgame. And then Marlin, this guy was rolling really hot. I actually got really scared because all 3 of my Waste Respites were in the bottom like 25 or 20 cards of my deck. I had survived long enough to get to like the end of my like first cycle, but I did eventually get there. I did have a very large cut, a long story short, that took away their entire hand. It wasn't dominated or anything, but it just bought me a turn to be able to set up again and like chain disruption. Things of note, Leave Them Hanging was very impactful. Overcrowded was insane. Actually blocked the CNC for 6 against Marionette. Battered, Beaten, and Broken was an all-star throughout the entire weekend. For ProQuest Plus, I definitely hit the lower end of the variance. Still a positive record, but not very happy with it. I played a Florian in round 2 and lost to that. I was a little gung-ho in my my final what's it called, Bully Tactics and Sadistic Scowl combo in the second cycle. It was not enough damage, and I had mites on the field due to a 2 steps ahead, so I really should have just waited until those. I should have just waited 1 more turn, but I don't know why I just pulled the trigger there when it was definitely not a kill. Dory win, Dio win, fatigued, Another Florian loss here. This Florian was way more aggressive, so I had a lot less room to play out my auras. By the last like 3 or 4 turns of the game, I had never attacked. It was just me blocking out. The major difference between this round 5 and round 2 Florian, this round 2 Florian actually got to buckle and destroy their Grasp of the Arknight. So it was a lot easier to block them out and try to set up for the late game. For this Florian, I did not get a chance to buckle. And the Grasp is what put me over the top when they did Grasp of Felon. Marionette, this is against Tao Tao Chu, very good Marionette player. Again, this is just a matchup I still need to figure out. They did go to 1, but by their choice, you know, they had plenty of agency in that late game matchup. I had a very unfortunate hand with like a steadfast and only a single blue and like 4 mites popping, so I couldn't really do much there. But like spend the blue for a steadfast and not attack and waste 4 mites on that turn. And in Acilio, we actually got this win. Our Battered Not Broken lined up with their first 2 Mind Warps. These 2 lined up with the first 2 Mind Warps, and I didn't see a 3rd Mind Warp, and their big turn was still like 20-ish damage, but I was able to soak up a lot of it with armor and the various instants I had, and I just templed them out, constantly making them discard cards, and we got this one. So a lot to learn still, a lot of small mistakes still to shore up on, but overall the deck core feels pretty solid. And I'm sure there's like a couple things that I can improve on to shore up the matchups, but yeah. And this February list here will include a bunch of matchup guides as well, so please take a look at that and let me know if you have any questions on it. Hey y'all, just want to give you some example gameplay of the Lyath deck. This is a video directly after the Battle-Hardened Sonoma weekend, where I went 5-2 with this exact list. There will be a February link with the list as well as the matchup guide that I had prepared. Just know that it's not fully complete. I don't have every hero because I haven't been able to test against every hero. But it should give you a general idea of what I do into certain matchups. But in general, I do play like a switchboard plan where I kind of trade blow for blow with, you know, my aggressive opponents like the Cindra. And then into slower opponents like Florian or Verdant or Jarl, I kind of stack auras and try to go for very large attacks. Usually, hopefully with evasion like Dominate, Confidence, or even with bully tactics to intimidate their entire hand and try to get them there. And then there is a special note of Prism, which is a auto loss. Just concede and take a mental break or lunch break. And then Gravy, which we just hammer and fatigue. We do our best to wipe out their allies, and I did actually fatigue one during Battle-Hardened Sonoma. We went to time, and I did confirm that I killed their last ally, and I was still at 13 life left, so definitely handily got there. Not handily, but you know, the deck performed very well, and I had the experience to know what or how to prioritize like damage in my deck, so that way I have enough to kill their whalers and chums, you know, the high health minions when it got to later on in the game. So let's get right into it. This game in particular, I am going first, and to start, this is a pretty mediocre hand to start with. We have no auras that we can play other than Booze, which is mostly a supporting aura, not one that we like to see on turn 0 really. It does help with Mocking Blow, but we're not going to attack with Mocking Blow on turn 0 here. We don't want to filter or let our opponent filter their hand. So I believe that all I do is just play the Booze, activate Lyath to make another Might, and then maybe we could short shrift on my turn 1 next turn. And I know there's a couple of people that don't like Mocking Blow, but it's a powerful one card play, and Booze is a very good supporting card for it. I use it to great effect against heroes that start at lower health than me, and lets me, fight in the damage race. Seeing this ignite is actually pretty cool, because I get to just block with this Fablazing on this kunai pretty cleanly. Depending on what they do here on the third chain link, we may want to leave them hanging. Easily one of my favorite cards of this set, next to Battered, Beaten, and Broken. Definitely my two favorite reviled cards from Super Slam. So I'm already at 38. I'm gonna gain 3 life from the Fablazing, but I don't think I'm gonna dodge a Flick Knives activation here. So at best, I'm gonna go to 40. So this Mocking Blow is probably a good chance to get out of my hand now. That way, if they come in with a 4 power attack, I can cleanly block it with Rampart and Escalate Violence. Yep, the cut through is pretty good here. And we block out the mask trigger. And we just hope they don't. Well, I guess if they do attack again, it's not too bad unless it's a snatch. And I think we're just gonna take it. But short shrift for 6 here. This can't be cleanly blocked by armor, so they do have to give us a 3 block here, or a 2 block and boots. But we're gonna try to keep them honest in this game. So great that we get to see boots gone so quickly. This is a pretty blue heavy hand, so we can take advantage of the lead hang here probably. We only have 1 might, so we could potentially make a second this turn. And even though it's the first chain link, blocking a pain in the backside for 3 is essentially blocking for 4. So this is just like a value block, even though it doesn't help, stop their mass triggers down the line. But they are now out of daggers, and this is a non-draconic chain link. So maybe we can get them here with the leave them hanging. So the big punish for this turn here is the snatch, but this isn't draconic, and I actually make my first misplay here. Giving the attention grabbers here and blocking the snatch was not the right play. I forgot that I banished a card or intimidated a card, so they're gonna arsenal something anyways. So we didn't have to give up our arms there, and later down the line you'll see that this 4 damage from the snatch was actually kind of would have been a boon for us to have like Skullcap online throughout multiple turns. Pretty happy to see that Ancestral Empowerment being blocked, but again, we're just trading blow for blow. So here, because they only have 3 cards, I don't know if it's worth it to leave them hanging, but they don't have daggers, so maybe it is. And we should just take this 2 here. So we're gonna play this Cruel Ambition. It's gonna line up quite nicely when the Leave Them Hanging leaves next turn. So we're gonna have +7. So we'll arsenal the Short Shrift, and we're gonna attack for 3. We didn't block with this Buckle on the last turn because it would have blocked for 2, and we're getting 3 value out of it here instead. We already had a Tunic to get a free block value on the Rampart last turn, which I think is okay. But so far this is pretty nice. We now have our next 5-card hand available to block out, and then we could present 10 with discard on hit. Or discard on crush, if I should say. Because we had the Battered and Not Broken, this is why I was happy to wait for the 3rd Chain Link. But in hindsight, I think I forgot that they still didn't have daggers, and I should have just blocked that 2nd Chain Link. So now I have this full hand on the turn where I'm getting +7, and I can't take full advantage of it. Like, I'm gonna activate Lyath here and make a Might. I'm gonna be able to play Edge on their seats on my turn, and I can Crater Hoof to Short Shrift, I guess. And then we take full advantage of the hand, but not in like such a meaningful way that would turn the tide of this match. So I think blocking for 4 there would have been better, or at least or at least doing like Rampart and getting a Might from that. So being ahead by 7 life here and taking a card feels pretty good. If we had those Mocking Blows at a different time, we would feel even better, because then we could consistently stay ahead and try to take cards away through damage rather than disruption. We have 3 instant effects here, which is pretty nice. The only issue is we don't really have a way to take advantage of the mites that are generated by these Battered Not Brokens. This is a Mark, and they have had trouble making fealty this like entire game, so I think I'm pretty incentivized to block this here. Again, my opponent's already at 20, and I still haven't used my Skull Cap. And at this point, I am pretty worried about not getting value out of it. I think, you know, taking that Snatch for 4, I would have gotten, I would have probably had more opportunities to get that Skull Cap value. Here they flick, and I don't respond to the flick. I let the flick resolve. I just want to get the full 2 points of block value for Battered Not Broken, or Beaten Not Broken, just to prevent the mark. And we're pretty happy with that. They would have made 2 fealty here if oh wait, no, they don't. Sorry, I was thinking about the 0 for 4 that makes a fealty if your opponent is marked. This I think I'm taking, and I'm actually IPing the Oasis Respite. The Massive Momentum trigger here, like, doesn't actually do anything. They could have Dragon Scatter Flight Path, but I just didn't have a clean way to block 5 total, or at least one that made sense. So I'm just gonna play this Cruel Ambition, set up for a big turn next turn. Hope I find a nice crush card, and come in for 5 here. And now I'm gonna face the full 5-card Wrath of Cindra, but I do have 2 prevention effects available, and hope I could just keep 1 card. So looking at this hand, this is one of the dreaded like non-blue hands. The battered, beaten, and broken would have been fantastic last turn with the Cruel Ambition. I would have been able to disrupt this 5-card hand that they have. And now I need to figure out how I want to layer these instant speed, like, you know, pseudo defense reactions, and get the most value out of it. The thing I'm eyeing the most right now, since I can't hammer this turn, I need to figure out what other effect is best for me, and that's actually going to be the cut. A long story short, we're 2 points away from having tower active for 13 damage. Currently we have 8 on the board, so with a Lyath activation that'll be 9, and then we definitely want to use our arsenal to make another might, and that would activate tower for us. So that's what's on my mind right here in this turn. So I pretty much just need to make sure I play my arsenal card and activate Lyath in this turn to enable tower. And here we see Rake, which they're going to use to very good effect here. Now everything is coming for 4, which is pretty rough. At least can be pretty rough. I was getting ready to waste Respite here, but because they did the Ancestral Empowerment, I think I actually go for... or I don't. I think they're... Oh, because they still have Flick Knives, I can't use Arsenal. They can actually just deny it with Flick Knives. And I preemptively do Tunic here, but it's because I forgot that this is coming in for 5 because of the fealty. So I'm pretty sure I'm just blessing here. They can't Ancestral Empowerment this thing. Then they hit the flick. This way their mask chain is still active. But I have the Oasis Respite still, and I still need to use my Arsenal card. And this is fantastic. This Lava Burst is coming in for 6, so I can cleanly block the 6 now with Oasis and Arsenal. And then I'll still get to pitch the battered, beaten, and broken to Lyath and make that 5th might. Again, the fortunate part is we're still not getting value on our skull cap. So coming in for 13, this is going to clear their hand. They're not going to give armor here, but this is also going to clear their fealty as well. So their reach is a little bit less now after I clear their hand. And them blocking for 3 here signifies that they have a no block in hand, which is probably their second rake. I'm pretty happy to see this. I'm not happy that we're both at 9. I still need to get skull cap value. In here we have like an okay hand. We can Terra Asunder to Short Shrift for 4, but that's not really great. So I think I do just make a might here, play the booze, attack with hammer for 4, pitching the Terra Sunder, and an arsenal the Blessing of Serenity. I don't want to arsenal the Waster Spy because I don't want to force myself to use it off arsenal to clear it up. Again, another one of the awkward things about Lyath with these like half setup decks, half like aggression, is that sometimes you just don't hit the setup after you like make your opponent take a turn off. And I love seeing this. We finally get our last 2 Fiddler's Greens, and they line up with my opponent's Ignites again, which is great. So I should block one of them here. So in this turn, because we're getting a might from the booze on the back that is staying on the field, and Tunic counters coming up too, I think I am going to be using that Tunic counter to play Escalate Violence so I can create 4 mites in the back and try to see if I can use those 4 mites to end the game. Here I'm pretty scared of Ancestral Empowerment. So I block with the Fiddler's Green, and I also give the Blessing of Serenity here. So they should flick here, keep their Mask of Momentum chain alive, which they do. They actually got a resource from Blood Spattered Vest. So I block here with Rampart. I'm going to pitch to yellow. I'm going to keep that 1 floating for the Waste Respite. And actually take this full 4. Just because I want to get the full 5 value of the Waste's Respite. And if I don't, it does feel pretty bad to be down to 2 against the Flick Knives opponents. But they do attack. It is a snatch. And we made the right call here. So we're going to gain 6 here from the 2 Fiddlers. Insulates us back up to 9. So I'm feeling like we're in a pretty good position here, even though we're in single-digit life totals. We're only sending 3 though, and you know, my opponent's at 5 and they still have 4 points of armor. But we're gonna have 4 mites. They only have 4 cards and they're at 2 life. So we're not facing a 5 card, you know, full Wrath of Cindra. But now that we're at 2, we are never getting the 2 extra points of value from Arcanite Skullcap. I do like blocking with Rampart here. It is also their only dagger, so they can't flick and keep this chain alive. This throw dagger here does make me quite nervous because it just extends their reach and how far they can attack. So here I think... Oh. So reveal the Blaze Headlong. Yeah, giving Tunic I think is fine here. We don't want to go to 2. The flick will bring us down to 1, and then we're just dead next turn if they get that. But I think what I was thinking here and why I was so hesitant to block on the third chain link, the Ronin Renegade, with a 4th might and there are 4 armor, I can buckle for, is it 8? For 8. And I think at that time I was thinking, oh, I just need to hit 9. And I was not hitting 9 with this. So I should have blocked that Ronin Renegade with one of these. This is just gonna be a hammer for 7. I should not be trying to buckle with this hand. So taking the 3 here on the third chain link definitely cost me a little bit. I think you're gonna see that punish a little later down this line too, because getting down to 3 life is incredibly scary. But we're making a game, and so is our opponent, and this is really scary. Because now we are going to go to 1 because they still have inflict 9s. And my opponent gets the blood spattered vest. So now buckle is active, but yeah, we'll get the 1 value here, but we know they're going to come in with the blaze headlong that they revealed off the rabble, and I am going to have to give them 2 cards. So if I had blocked the Ronin Renegade earlier, I'd be at 5. I'd be able to block this with 1 card and then just take 1, but in hindsight, the 1 doesn't actually matter either because Mask would trigger. Actually, no, I probably just wouldn't block the dagger with Skullcap, and then I could block the 4 with Skullcap plus 1 card. And then I would be at a healthier 2 instead of 1. But this 8 doesn't really mean anything anymore. Oh wait, this is for 8. Did I do my math wrong? Where did I get the extra might? I thought I only had 4 might. Two, 3, should be 7. Why is that 8? Oh, I did have the 5th might. Okay, maybe I was right for playing towards the buckle line, but it definitely lost me the game here. But I don't think I can get past this anyways, because this is exactly what I'd be doing in this turn. I would just be at 2 instead of 1. So my opponent doesn't have daggers, so we just have to be wary of that. So if they do have a blue, I have to be careful. So I am just trying to do the rampart here, block for 4, and maybe hopefully I can arsenal this waste respite. That way I can prevent a dagger in the future. But they do have the yellow that lets them buy back the daggers and then flick it immediately. So I'm forced to waste respite the dagger to stay alive. But this is a losing proposition. I believe this is my last waste respite, and I don't have any more prevention left in my deck anyways after this one. So I'm reading Flick Knives here to make sure I need to target the dagger that's being flicked. I take a guess, and I guess the left one, and it is the right guess. And I come in for 4. They'll block me with 2 cards, and then they'll just send back a card and flick and kill me. It was a great game. My opponents played incredibly well. And I think if I had much tighter play, I could have had a little more of a life buffer to maybe get there in the end. But ultimately, if I'm only sending these like hammers for 4, I'm more likely to fatigue my opponents than actually kill them at this point. And I don't think that's actually a winning line, because my opponent will have four hands left to play with. But incredibly close, as you can see. You know, it's Lyath can play with the top decks of the format, especially the aggro decks. If I had just like a little bit tighter play and maybe got luckier in like the turns after my tower attack or in my first turn, I would have been able to get ahead and maybe stay ahead with the mocking blows. But yeah, I did get a little lucky being able to enable tower on a cut a long story short, and also get some free damage in there and take one of their power cards, which is Rake. But yeah, I hope this was an enlightening experience for those of you that are watching this, and hope you learned something from Lyath gameplay. I think there's still a lot to learn and a lot to theory craft, but yeah, it's such a fun hero. The 5 intellect means there's so many different lines that you can play and take, so the person playing it also needs to have at least 5 intellect. But regardless, for those of you interested in Lyath, I hope you do try him out. He is very fun. Good luck during your pro quests. Hope to see some Lyath gamers out there. Please let me know how you guys do. Thanks.